Good morning, Papa. I hope you don't mind me calling you that, or that I'm leaning. I'm elderly, but I know I wanted to speak to you, and I'm a strange kind of Catholic. I was born a Protestant and then couldn't take the troubles in Northern Ireland. Couldn't take it. Went up and knocked the door, but and then I realised that I wanted to become a Catholic. But I found out that the kind of Catholic I am is that it's a drama that I live, and that's something that when the good news came to Slavs, etc., that's how they saw everything in life, that they would act it like a drama, not a dogma, and that's what causes a lot of the strife, etc. But I'm so pleased because I can communicate with you. I've been trying. There's a precedent that was set regarding Roman Catholicism. First of all, your predecessor, John Paul II, honoured someone who was he was a Scot, and he brought Cistercians over and Tyrannesians, etc., to Scotland, gave them land, and that's where we get the writings from, and the word Duns, because Duns Scotus was no longer just blessed. He made him a saint because he's the one who made the education university, like with a small U, but you were teaching the arts, science, everything together in education. So that was very early, St. David. Not St. David, our King David. And he started off the royal boroughs and brought people over because Scotland has always needed refugees and people with skills, etc. So he wanted to build up Scotland. So that's what he did. And he brought over Flemish lace makers, and there were gypsies there too, and they had their own different language. And but there was someone called St. Margaret of Scotland, and she was a particular saint, and I actually asked for her name to be mine, when I was confirmed. And she had there were two tiers. And if I explain to you that when St. Patrick went over to Ireland, he was a Romano-Brit. And then when he was free, he went to France and was taught there because he wanted to be a priest and he wanted to go back, and he went back and revolutionised Ireland to such an extent that the whole ecology of the world, etc., so just like a miracle, Papa, a miracle, okay. And the fact the snakes in Ireland, etc., and people say, well, there's no snakes in Ireland, but in actual fact, it's I'm not really sure what it was, but I do know that there are eels and they go to the Sargasso Sea, which is the deepest part of the world's ocean, to breed again. So I don't really don't know what happened or whatever. But all I know is things that were recorded about different peoples, etc. And when they said that St. Patrick was great and wonderful, he seemed to know about the future and had an understanding. Well, how can I say anything else except that? And he said that you think that I'm great, but in 100 years there will be such a light from the north. And he was talking about St. Columba. And St. Bernard recorded that if it had not been for the monks who came from Iona, who were trained, and they came all down through Europe then Europe would have been plunged into the greatest darkness, you know. So the Dark Ages were enlightened by the monks. And in Scotland here, we've got different islands, etc. And the monks would go out there who just more or less like Carmelite nuns who pray for the world. That's all they do, pray for the world. So they'd go out to the islands and pray for the world. And then there were other monks that were married because they were teaching, you know. So there were the two different tiers. For some reason, that was abolished. And then it was only the one tier. And that they all had to realise that all of the different appetites. Thomas à Kempis said, we all want to lie in the brambles. Because we have to eat to live. And when the sister was instructing me about everything, and she said, and what do you think about that, and about the white fathers that go to Africa, and then there's all these wee creamy babies, but you know, I says, oh, for goodness sake, the last appetite that the Lord is going to be dealing with is the appetite that is for sex or whatever. That's not the one that he's going to be dealing with first. That'll be the last one, because we have to procreate. So I'm trying to say that that's a way that we can pray about, because it's the answer for the poor. Oh, it is. It is. It is. In Northern Ireland or in Eire, I really don't know what it is that they believe in. They themselves think that it's Roman Catholic or whatever. And I don't mean in any way except to explain that everybody's got their own different idea. Every time we go into church, even as I am, whether Catholic, Protestant, or whatever, I think the first council in Trent said that the reason for the Reformation was the licentious behaviour of the priests. And so with that, I want to leave that with you, because I feel quite humble to be able to speak to you, Papa. I feel quite humble. I just know that I have to finish the night and see that. And I ask you to please check up on the life of St Margaret of Scotland, and that you bless me.